millions of people have seen Hollywood's biggest stars share stories that will stay with them forever. But there are times, talks, and quiet truths that never get seen or heard when the cameras are off and the scripts are written. Ben Affleck recently thought back on his time in the business, and one name jumped out: Rob Reiner. What he said wasn't scandalous, but it was much more illuminating. You need to go back to the start to understand why. It didn't happen overnight that Ben Affleck became famous in Hollywood. He grew up in Massachusetts and became interested in performing at a young age. He had little parts on TV shows while he was still trying to figure out where he fit in the industry. He endured rejection, doubt, and the ongoing need to prove himself, just like many other budding actors. In his early years, he worked hard instead of getting rapid success. Good Will Hunting altered everything. Written with a friend he's known for a long time. The movie with Matt Damon became a cultural phenomenon. Not only did it get good reviews, it also won an Academy Award, making Affleck one of Hollywood's most promising actors right away. All of a sudden, he wasn't simply another actor striving to make it big. He was part of a new generation that was changing the way stories are told. At the same time, Rob Reiner was already known as a recognized filmmaker. Reiner was known for directing movies including A Few Good Men and The Princess Bride. He was known as someone who cared about character, passion, and crafting stories that mattered. He was a symbol of a different time in Hollywood for many people, when directors cared more about depth than show. Their worlds were different, yet they weren't completely apart. Industry insiders and people who have thought about it over time say that Affleck watched filmmakers like Reiner intently while he worked on his own career. There wasn't a public fight or rivalry that made the news. What came out instead was something more subtle: a difference in point of view. People who have worked with both of them say that Reiner is very dedicated to his artistic vision. He took narrative very seriously and meticulously shaped each effort to show bigger ideas about morals, relationships, and society. Affleck, who was just starting out in a Hollywood that was changing quickly, had to deal with a different kind of pressure, combining economic success with artistic integrity. People in the industry typically talk about one incident that happened during talks about how movies were changing. Even if nothing big happened in public, a lot of people think these talks showed a change in the generation. Reiner was a time when movie makers fought to tell certain stories. Affleck, on the other hand, was working in a time when studios were more and more interested in franchises and making movies that everyone would like. Another important element is how each of them went about getting success. Affleck has talked about how hard it is to be real in Hollywood in a number of interviews. Fame, expectations, and public scrutiny can make it hard to tell the difference between creative zeal and outside pressure. Seeing people like Reiner may have given him a different point of view, one based on never giving up and believing in narrative, even as the business changes around you. There were also calmer times, such discussions, observations, and experiences that didn't make the news but nevertheless had an effect. Some others say that these times changed how Affleck thought about his own professional choices and made him think more about the kinds of stories he wanted to tell. What seemed like a difference at first became something else with time: comprehension. In Hollywood, different ways of doing things don't always generate problems. They can sometimes give you a new point of view. Affleck's thoughts imply that he perceived in Reiner not controversy, but dedication. A reminder of what stories used to be like and what they could still be like. Both men kept changing as the years went by. Affleck's career has been marked by reinvention as he has moved between acting, directing, and producing. Reiner, on the other hand, was still a symbol of a time in filmmaking when story depth was more important than showiness. Looking back now, the fact that Affleck alludes it isn't shocking in the way we usually think of it. It's not as loud. It's about the conflict between art and business, between the past and the present, and between different ways of looking at the same profession. Because sometimes, the biggest news in Hollywood isn't about fights or secrets. It's all about how you look at things. And maybe that's the actual story here: not a secret scandal, but a better grasp of how to make something important in an industry that is always changing. Please leave your opinions in the comments below if this story made you think. Do you believe Hollywood has gotten better or worse? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more movie documentaries that tell the tales behind your favorite performers.